Why on earth is this happening? Who could possibly have done such a thing? Just 2 hours ago, my mother-in-law left her grandchild in the car and went to the casino. And when she came out and saw us, she approached us screaming. However, judging by my mother-in-law's words, it seems she's not worried about her grandchild but rather about something else. When the target of my mother-in-law's concern became clear, someone erupted in a rage I had never heard before. Even that rage couldn't make my mother-in-law reflect. Despite her lack of reflection, even a mother-in-law like that can be brought to hell. My name is Dina. I'm 33 years old. I'm a family of 3 with my husband Brett, who is 2 years older than me, and our daughter Hazley, who is turning 3. And because we live in a 2-family house, sharing it with my in-laws, there are 5 of us living together. The 2-family house we live in was built by my father-in-law, considering future cohabitation, with each other's private spaces well defined. When I saw this house before getting married, I thought, wow, what a wonderful house. My husband and I also said, with this house, we might not have to be so considerate of each other even if we live together. And so, our life of living together with my in-laws began as soon as we got married. However, the dream of a wonderful life together quickly came to an end, because my mother-in-law's bullying began. Despite thinking that we had well-defined private spaces, my mother-in-law would come into our private space without hesitation. "Are you cleaning like this? Can't you even tidy up the room properly with such a messy room? Brett must be pitiful," and so on. There is not a day when she doesn't come to complain. I work, so meals are on a rotating basis, but my mother-in-law always finds excuses not to cook. "I'm tired today because of my hospital visit, so please cook," or "I got tired because my chat with friends dragged on today so I can't cook," or "Oh, just lazing around all day is tiring enough. I haven't even gone shopping, so please cook something." And in the end, I end up cooking every day. I can understand being tired from a hospital visit, but I want her to consider the feelings of those who work, before saying she is tired from chatting with friends and being lazy all day. I thought right away after starting to live together that my mother-in-law was really just someone who wanted to slack off. However, a turning point came that might change this kind of life. That is my pregnancy. I found out half a year after getting married. Even my lazy mother-in-law seemed momentarily pleased by my pregnancy, but as soon as she found out it was a girl, her face immediately fell with disappointment. "What, a girl? Well, that's disappointing. I prefer boys. Make sure the next grandchild is a boy," she said as she passed by me. My mother-in-law's preferences don't dictate my pregnancies. It felt like a storm had passed by in front of me. And so the change in life I had hoped for did not come. Now the topic changes a bit, but as you can understand from the fact that my father-in-law easily built a 2-family house for us, my in-laws were wealthy. And both of them were fond of cars. It seems they each owned multiple cars in the past, but now they each have one luxury car. By the way, my husband and I aren't particularly fond of cars. I see cars simply as a means of transportation, so a compact car is sufficient for me. When my pregnancy was confirmed, my husband bought a minivan so we could comfortably travel as a family. It's not particularly luxurious, just a regular domestic car. Now back to the topic of my in-laws' cars. My mother-in-law considers riding in luxury cars as a status symbol, almost like a fashion statement. It seems she replaces her car every few years and always buys a bright red one. Even now, she drives a bright red sports car. On the other hand, my father-in-law also replaces his car every few years, but he genuinely loves cars, so he never skimps on washing and cleaning them. Having a shiny car at all times seems to be a status symbol for him. They even have a dedicated garage in the yard, and the interior is designed for easy car washes and cleaning. Since we're basically prohibited from entering, I don't know the details of the interior. And my father-in-law takes care of my mother-in-law's car washing, cleaning, and maintenance. He washes and cleans them at the same frequency as his own car, and if there are any issues, he takes it to the dealer for maintenance. My mother-in-law is completely indifferent to such matters, so my father-in-law takes care of it all. Being so devoted to cars is quite remarkable, so I honestly admire that aspect. However, if my father-in-law could redirect that passion towards addressing my mother-in-law's lifestyle attitude, my life might improve. At least I think so. Time flies, and our daughter Hazley turned 3. When Hazley was 1 year old, I returned to work, and now she attends daycare. At first, my father-in-law said he would take care of her, but my mother-in-law strongly objected. In the end, she ended up going to daycare. Hazley seems to have made friends at daycare and enjoys going there every day. Despite my mother-in-law's strong opposition to taking care of Hazley, she has recently been going out frequently. To the casino, to be precise. She drives her bright red sports car to the casino every day. My father-in-law also advises her, don't get too involved, but to no avail. Even my husband says, I don't understand why she's so into something as unproductive as the casino, but still. My mother-in-law shows no sign of stopping. If anything, it seems the more she's opposed, the more determined she is, and her daily stay at the casino seems to be getting longer. The biggest concern is the financial aspect, but as of now, only she knows how that's going. My mother-in-law says, don't worry, I'm staying within my budget, so we have no choice but to believe her. Recently, there have been drastic temperature changes every day, and Hazley ended up catching a cold. It's not very high, but she has a slight fever, so we decided to let her stay home from daycare. I wanted to take the day off too, but today happened to be an important meeting day. I just couldn't afford to miss it. My husband was in the same situation, but then my father-in-law said to us, this is exactly when you should rely on us. It's just a slight fever, right? Let her rest and we keep an eye on her. You should go to work. And surprisingly, my mother-in-law also said, well, occasionally it can't be helped. Adults can also easily catch a cold. Finish your work and come back home right away, and she volunteered to take care of Hazley. Grateful to my in-laws, I made sure to tell Hazley to behave and rest properly, and then headed off to work. However, I should have insisted on taking the day off at that time. With my in-laws taking care of Hazley, it was around noon. My father-in-law suddenly got called to a neighborhood association meeting. He said it would only take about 2 hours, so I entrusted Hazley's care to my mother-in-law. As a result, for some reason my mother-in-law prepared Hazley to go out. Hazley, whose fever had already subsided, seemed happy to be able to go out, but the destination turned out to be my mother-in-law's favorite casino. We only realized what was happening with one phone call. I had just finished an important meeting and was taking a short break. Since it was also a good time to wrap up other work, I was planning to leave early and go home. Then the phone rang. When I answered, it was a police officer. "Is this Mrs. Dina Taylor? This is the police. Your daughter Hazley has been found. Could you come immediately? The location is the ABC Casino." With a bad feeling, I noticed my hands trembling. "I'll head there right away. Is my mother-in-law there?" "Well, we're currently looking for her." "If she wasn't there, was she gambling?" With such doubts, I contacted my husband and immediately headed to the casino. When I arrived at the casino, my husband was already there, about to take Hazley to the hospital. His company was closer to the casino. "What about Hazley? Is she okay?" I approached my husband, clinging to him. "She's fine. Mom left Hazley in the car and someone helped her right away. She seems to have mild dehydration, so we're going to the hospital. Dina, can you handle things when Mom comes back?" I felt relieved that Hazley didn't seem too unwell. At the same time, I felt a surge of anger towards my mother-in-law. "Please take care of Hazley. Leave Mom to me. I won't forgive her." My husband nodded, looking at me with a slightly fearful gaze, but I couldn't afford to worry about that. I couldn't forgive my mother-in-law. About an hour passed. I waited in front of the casino for my mother-in-law to come out. It had been 2 hours since my mother-in-law arrived at this casino. Inside the casino, there had been several announcements calling for the owner of a car, but my mother-in-law either didn't hear or ignored them, continuing to gamble until this time. We didn't actively search for my mother-in-law. The reason being, there was a clue in the car my mother-in-law came in. As we would later find out, during that hour we checked the security cameras in the parking lot, analyzed the data from the car's dashboard camera, and spoke with the people who had helped Hazley and thanked them. Also, within that hour, my husband and Hazley, who had gone to the hospital, had just returned. And the last person had also arrived. My mother-in-law must have won at the casino today. She came out of the casino with a beaming smile. However, the next moment, her smile turned into a look of despair, and she ran towards us. As she approached, her screams became audible. "Wait, what have you done?" Even though she was the one who had done it, she approached us as if she were the victim. There was a reason my mother-in-law was running towards us. That reason was that the rear window of the car my mother-in-law came in was broken. And the car my mother-in-law had come in today belonged to my father-in-law. Why is this happening? This is your father's car. Do you have any idea how much it will cost? My mother-in-law yelled, trying to protect herself. But that wasn't the most important thing to worry about. "Mother-in-law, what you should be concerned about now is not the broken window of this car, but Hazley, whom you left in the car 2 hours ago." I called out to her. But it seemed my voice didn't reach my mother-in-law. Why has this happened? What excuse should I make to your father? Who on earth would do such a thing? Whoever did it, come out now. She was making a fuss all by herself, which started to look somewhat comical. Once again, I spoke to my mother-in-law. "Mother-in-law, are you listening? What you should be worried about right now is not the car's broken window, but the fact that you left Hazley behind." This time I spoke louder and slower so that my mother-in-law could hear. Then, finally, she reacted to me. "Oh, it's Dina. You're talking about Hazley? Is that really important right now? More importantly, you didn't break the window, did you? If that's the case, I won't forgive you. I will make sure to tell your father and you'll pay for it." It was as if she had completely erased Hazley from her memory. Is there really human blood flowing in her veins? I began to doubt it. Then I heard shouting from behind. "Will you stop it?" It was my father-in-law's voice. "What are you thinking? Think about it. Isn't it all started when you left Hazley in the back seat of this car? The drive recorder captured your voice. You said to Hazley, 'Just wait here, okay,' and then you left. And you were gambling at the casino for 2 whole hours, weren't you?" A customer who heard Hazley crying notified the police, and they broke the window to rescue her. And yet this is beyond shameful. My mother-in-law was stunned. This was the first time I had seen my father-in-law so angry. But my mother-in-law had indeed done something to deserve it. "Oh, my dear, I'm sorry. Don't you still understand what you did? Apologizing to me is pointless. Who should you be apologizing to first? It's Hazley." My father-in-law's loudest shout echoed through the area. Then my mother-in-law said something absurd. "Honey, if I apologize to Hazley, will you overlook the car window? If so, I'll apologize." I couldn't believe what she was saying. Even my father-in-law was left speechless. My mother-in-law walked over to us. "Hazley, I'm sorry, huh? But you look fine now, right? Okay, I've apologized. Honey, let's go home." With such a perfunctory apology, I didn't know how to react. As I was contemplating what to do, a police officer who had been observing stepped in. "Mrs. Posey Taylor, you're not going home but coming to the police station. Please come with us." "What? Me, to the police station? That's ridiculous. The grandchild is fine, so what crime is there?" My mother-in-law still didn't understand the gravity of her actions. "You left your grandchild in the car while you went gambling. That's neglect of a guardian, a serious crime. Now, let's have a talk." Yet my mother-in-law laughed. "That's ridiculous. Stop joking." The police officer decided that force was necessary and led her to the patrol car. My mother-in-law's final shout as she was being taken away was memorable. "I haven't done anything wrong." We then decided to go home. My mother-in-law didn't change her attitude at the police station. She consistently said nothing was wrong with my grandchild, so I'm not bad. Let me go home quickly. However, as the casino's parking lot security camera and the car's drive recorder both confirmed, it was a fact that she had left Hazley behind. Why couldn't she realize that this was a crime? In the end, my mother-in-law didn't admit her guilt. But the court still sentenced her, and she received a prison sentence without probation. That meant she was going straight to prison. We cried tears of joy at the verdict. Later on, my in-laws divorced soon after. When my mother-in-law demanded a division of assets along with the divorce, my father-in-law complied with her request. He agreed promptly because he did not want to prolong the divorce process by refusing the division of assets. However, it seems that my mother-in-law used most of the money from the division to pay off her debts. Of course, her debts were incurred from gambling. She had debts amounting to a considerable sum, having borrowed money using her luxury car as collateral, far exceeding her allowance. Moreover, I'm sure that even after coming out of prison, my mother-in-law won't be able to stop going to the casino. She will probably continue gambling with borrowed money. That's the life she has chosen for herself. On the other hand, we are still living in the two-family house built by my father-in-law. It would be a pity to give up this new home, and without my mother-in-law, our private space remains undisturbed. And my father-in-law has started cooking for us, who are working. Originally, he was capable of making simple meals, but recently he seems to be trying more elaborate dishes. Hazley loves the dishes that my father-in-law makes. Grandpa is really good at cooking. Mom, you try hard too, haha, she says. I never imagined that just by being without my mother-in-law, our family could live together so harmoniously. From now on, I hope that this peaceful and happy life can continue, and we all want to cooperate to maintain it.